under Pillar Caffrey, we actually flew the odd time to
Really?
Sligo, but sure, Kerry were flying up and Donegal lads were flying down.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
there was
yeah,
money around before the crash in 08. But
Bertie put up that.
Bertie put up, yeah.
I'm not finished yet. It took me a long time to get here.
Both players have spoken with each other.
So it's all football on the telly this weekend, lads. Am I not hearing myself? Am I? 1, 2. Oh, there I am now. It was just my earphones. Are you all hearing yourself there, lads?
I'm hearing you. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So I'll start again. So it's all football on the TV this weekend, lads. We were complaining a few weeks ago. So we have Dublin Donegal in Croke Park on Saturday night. Then TG Cahir are going all in on football on Sunday. Galway Tyrone. For me, that's the big one of the weekend. And Monaghan and Mayo, that's the big one of the weekend for you, Conor.
Yep.
So then I was looking at Dublin, Donegal and Croke Park, and I was thinking, did Dublin not play in Croke Park last week against Monaghan? And they did, yeah. And then I was looking, they have 4 home games in Croke Park this year, which is nothing unusual. Sometimes you're lucky, it's the luck of the draw or whatever. You have 4 at home and 3 away. And then I started thinking they're playing Donegal in Croke Park, and then all the controversy of the Super 8s and Donegal trying to bring the motion to Congress to not allow Dublin have 2 games in Croke Park during the Super 8s. And since we have you in here, Ger, on the panel, what's your thoughts on this? Because there's a lot of debate this time, or not this time, last year on Super 8's time, about what kind of an advantage Dublin have playing there. Where are you on this? Because you're one of the more honest kind of Dublin voices.
I won't be diplomatic. I know. Any GAA footballer, this is my diplomatic start, lads, is everyone wants to play in Croke Park because it's cool and it's brilliant, and we played.
Everyone wants to play in Croke Park, but maybe not Dublin in Croke Park.
But maybe not Dublin Croke Park. And I was reading Colin Bonner's comments during the week, and he did say it is a big challenge, and Dublin rarely lose in Croke Park, certainly the last number of years. But like before, we played Laois in a minor final in 2003. First time playing in Croke Park, like it is a mecca, so it is a great experience. Now, when you get to the elite end and the senior end, is it an advantage to become used to your surroundings and playing in at one place more often than another team? It is, regardless if it's Dublin or whomever. But as a former Dublin player, and knowing the Dublin lads that are there, they literally do not care where they're playing. They'll play wherever they want to play.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing.
Nobody blames Dublin for this, and that's everything. Obviously, we know Dublin will go everywhere, and we know there's a good chance Dublin will beat anyone anywhere. Maybe bar Kerry down in Killarney might be a very difficult one for them because that's their home ground. But the point of the matter is, it's not Dublin's issue, and we know the GAA take advantage of the Dublin support by getting as much money out of them as possible. But the debate on whether it's an advantage, I think there's no debate. If you play 4 league games there, so all Dublin are filtering in all their young lads, into the team, and they're getting valuable Croke Park experience. So when you played there first as a minor, you were shitting it. Yeah. I'm sure your first time playing there senior, you were shitting it as well, because it's a whole new experience.
Against Laois, funny enough.
As against Laois as well. And you lost the minor, you probably won the next one. Yeah. But that's the thing. So you're getting over those nerves in league games, which aren't, and then you're being better prepared for Croke Park in the championship, and then you play all your championship bar the first round and the Super 8 that you have to the away game. For me, and you've the majority of the support in every game outside of the All-Ireland final, probably, where the tickets are split 50-50. For me, it's not even a talking point. It's a massive advantage.
It is an advantage, yeah. Again, we have to. I know there'll be Dublin people listening to me saying stick up for the Dubs, but your Dublin had a side, it's objectively speaking, it's an advantage. But it is important to emphasise that the lads will go anywhere. The Dublin supporters are great crack, a few lunatics obviously in the hill, but they love going to Castlebar for the nights out. They love going down to Killarney. We were in Portlaoise this summer, or last summer was it? They had a great time down there as well in terms of the sport and getting on the bandwagon and nights away. But ultimately it comes down to the hierarchy who make the calls. So they're looking to generate revenue, and I know the report came out a couple of weeks ago with Tom Ryan and the turnover of the GAA, and that all feeds into their strategy and goals from a commercial point of view.
Yeah, and other counties have had the chance to, by the Leinster Council, have had the chance to potentially move Dublin out of Croke Park, and they haven't taken that opportunity. So I think that what yourself and Ger have said, that it's not the Dubs' fault, I think it's important to say that. Yeah. But just listening to, you said it often, I've only been lucky to play it in Croke Park once, you've played there multiple times. But it
come to Munsko.
It was an All-Ireland Junior Club final years ago, Ger, but anyway, I'll get off that. But everything from the surface to, the way you talk about the way the wind is different from it, the way it blows in from the canal to the way it blows into Hill 16. There's the size of the crowd, there's the surface, then there's everything from just your surroundings the night before, the fact that Dublin players can sleep in their own beds and just they don't have to have the same traffic.
Well, that's a big one, but you can't complain about that because that's just luck of the draw. That's the National Stadium is in Dublin, and there's nothing you can do about that, you know. And even the crowd, there's nothing you can do about that either. They have a big population, and they get and Mayo are probably the only ones crowd-wise that can put it up to them in games outside of All-Ireland finals.
The bad thing I would dispute, because up until this 2011, Dublin lads are sleeping in their bed for a lot of the All-Ireland quarter-finals and semi-finals. We were getting well bet in against the basic area and Tyrone. But anyway, you can argue that one.
Yeah, but obviously you weren't as good as you are now. But I do think, because I wouldn't have ever had to stay over that often in hotels. But I remember for league games, you're out of your comfort zone. Sleeping in a hotel when you're not, after having a few pints where you'll just fall asleep, it's unusual. It's
and is your man going to be snoring beside you?
Yeah, you're rooming with somebody, and then you're talking about an All-Ireland bloody final. You'd be lucky to sleep the night before it anyway, Jared. I don't know what you were like getting to bed. You seem like a relaxed sort of fella, but in a hotel room that heightens all those nerves, I'm sure.
Pat Gilroy's first year, we played Wexford in first round of Leinster, and it actually went to extra time. And Pat was, during the league campaign that year in 2009, he had us staying in hotels before away games down the country. Under Pillar Caffery, we actually flew the odd time to Sligo. But sure, Kerry were flying up and Donegal lads were flying down. Money around before the crash in 08. But
Bertie put up that.
Bertie put up, the Bertie Paul. So we stayed in the Regency Hotel in Drumcondra there, beside St. Pat's campus, and for the Wexford game, and I live literally around the corner. Michael Savage around the corner. All the lads live very close by, the Southsiders.
Right. So he chose to do that madness, really.
Well, he chose,
right.
But there was a wedding in the hotel that night, so the place was hopping. I was rooming with David Henry. We couldn't sleep. I know a few lads did drive home, and I didn't have a car at the time, so I couldn't drive home, but I probably would have. But
few lads left the hotel.
And came back for breakfast the next morning and said nothing.
Jeez, and said nothing.
Yeah, the place was hopping, I just say again, early 20s, a pair of jeans there, go down. Have a look.
I'm sure there's no doubt the thought crossed a lot of lads' minds.
So we played crap, but that was a good Wexford team. They did good under Jason Ryan. Did a few years success, and it went to extra time, I think, that match. That first round, yeah. So we never stayed before championship game.
Do you know, it's unusual. I suppose Pat was finding his feet, but that's an oversight from kind of organisational side of definitely there has to be a recce done in the hotel. She's a classic. So that's it, anyways. I don't want to spend too long on it. To be honest with you, you see, sometimes we keep saying it's not Dublin's fault, and you're almost pandering to the kind of Reservoir Dubs type of Dublin fan who lose their minds. And I always say on the show here, the worst insults I get about the show are from Dublin fans, but the most compliments I get are from Dublin fans. Reasonable Dublin fans will accept, look, they all follow soccer, and they see, what's a punishment in soccer? Playing behind closed doors. If the majority of support isn't an advantage, and look at Darren McCurry, played in Eden Dark last week, swung over a sideline. I've never seen him swing over sideline.
Niall Morgan 4 frees as well.
Well, no, is Niall Morgan Eden Dark as well?
I think he is.
He is Eden Dark. Morgan is, and McCurry just floats it over because you just know he's done it before. You know, if you're playing in Croke Park, which the Dublin lads are, 7-8 times a season. Come on, do you know what I mean?
You do, and Conor probably touched on it there as well. The Competition Controls Committee, the CCC for Leinster Council. The makeup of that, I don't know where the county men are from who sit on that committee. I'm sure there's 4 or 5 lads on it who organise the fixtures. they're definitely not all dubs, if there's even any dubs.
Oh, yeah.
It's a strategic decision.
Oh, they're doing it to make money. It's obvious, lads. But
to make money,
fairness of the competition should supersede money any day. Look what the
100%.
players are putting into it. Like, I mean, it's crazy stuff. Anyways, we'll move on from that, lads, because Lenny Harbison is the Antrim manager, and we had Paddy Cunningham on the show, and Paddy's 34, 35 this year, and he's made a comeback. And what Lenny has done this year is he's tried to reduce the workload, not necessarily the workload, you probably still do the same, just the days you have to train. And it sounds to me like a great idea, but I want to get your thoughts on it, because he says rather than, he doesn't ask players to come training 5 days a week. So usually you might do 2 field sessions, maybe 3 gym sessions, well, 1 recovery and 2, maintenance or whatever. You probably do more than 3 gym sessions before Christmas when you're getting up to a level. So instead of the 2 separate gym sessions that you do on your own or as a group, he's combining them on the Tuesday and Thursday and doing them the hour before training. So right, your time commitment on that day is longer. So you have to do that hour and then you go out and do your field session, right? But then the next day, you go to work, come home, get onto your couch, you recover, your body relaxes. To me, it makes sense, but I'm not a strength and conditioning expert, and I've been out of the game longer than you, Ger. So what's your thoughts on this? I know Pat Gilroy had you in the morning early and then that night. As well, which I think Lenny's is better than that, because you kind of seize up a bit during the day, and then it must have been torture going back at night. But what do you think?
Well, in touch briefly on Pat's case was about weeding out the mentally weak.
It's probably
and it was a decent enough of a break. It was tough, but it was great. But anyone who wasn't enjoying feeling sore fecked off or just didn't make it in Pat's case. But from a sports science point of view, I was talking to in the office in UCD, guy Kevin Croke. He's involved with UCD rugby, but he was actually an SSC coach with us under Martin Kennedy as well, with Jim Gavin for a good few years. So know Kev well, and I would have done a module last year around sports physiology and how the body works. But if you're doing a pitch session directly after a gym session, you increase the chances of injury. If you do the gym session after the pitch session, you reduce the chances of becoming injured, but the quality of your gym work is decreased because your energy output has also decreased, and your inability to push as hard as you would. So depending on the goals of the individual, whether you're trying to put on muscle mass, which is hypertrophy or hypertrophy, depending on where you're from, you need to have a proper break, if not 24 to 48 hours before you train the same muscles again.
I thought about this, right? And then I was thinking, would they really be doing those type of sessions during an intense league? Those type of sessions where you're building muscle might be done from October to Christmas, and then throughout the league and championship you're maintaining that. And when you start weights, your legs are completely gone after it. But then you start building up, your tolerance to it, and then you could do a weight session, and sometimes you think, geez, I'm not even sore. I didn't even sweat during that. You're just used to it. So maybe when you get to that level, there's a value in it, no?
Objectively speaking, the sports science would say no. If you're doing what are we trying to become good at? Lifting weights or playing football? So your priority has to be the football session. In order to run faster, jump higher, hit harder, you need to have a training block of 4 to 6 weeks, and depending on your training age, they would call it as well, whether you've been coached from a young age, 15, 16, by a qualified gym instructor, not gym instructor, but S&C coach. That'll add to your development. But in phase with a league game week after week, pretty much. Are you doing a whole lot in those gym sessions? You're not. It's more about maintenance. So if they're doing a 45-minute gym session before the pitch
of maintenance, it wouldn't be as bad.
It wouldn't be as bad, but scientifically speaking, and I'm not a qualified sports science, so just lucky to be working in UCD and a dip in now of the expertise that are there. You would do the gym stuff afterwards. But the band stuff and the pre-rehabilitation stuff, like that's just getting the muscles warmed up in the same way you do your light bit of jogging.
Yeah, because everybody's doing that anyway. You just need to see the detail of the training session.
You would. We're guessing here a little bit.
Exactly,
what I loved about it, I understood, obviously, look, you're not going to mix very heavy weight sessions before a training session of, physical running and stuff like that would be madness. But during the league, you wouldn't be doing a whole lot of, heavy stuff, and even on the field sessions might be a little bit more walkthroughs or, talking about stuff that you could combine them then. And then the value of that is the next day which players find very stressful, that they have to go to work direct from the session the night before. They have to come home, they have to get the bag again, go out, go to the gym, come home, then make their dinner. Now, if you're lucky enough, you have a partner to have the dinner ready, or you have a bit left over from, well, you don't have anything left over from last night because you were training last night, or the mammy, depending on what age you are. That, like, it's a long day the next day, and taking that stress off players, I would see a lot of value in that. I used to try and mix it on my lunch break. And I was in a job that I didn't like in funds, and it was supposed to be like a trust system where you take an hour between 12 and 2. Sure, like, I mean, for an inter-county footballer, like, I mean, I was if I go at 10 past 12, at 10 past 1, the boss will be gone from 1 to 2. I can literally stroll back in here.
Rounding up your hours.
Once I'm back before he's back, he doesn't know how long. So I was getting it in my day. So I'd go home after my work and just get on the couch, wrecked. But if I had to go after work, geez, I'd be really pissed off. You know, you get a bit kind of down on it. There's not, obviously affects family time and all those other things.
Yeah, and look, it's a balance. It depends on if you are in Antrim, our fellas working in Dublin, or in college, whatever. So there's only so much contact time you have with them. But in terms of the quality of a gym session, Wooly, and your execution of the squad and everything else, that you do need a qualified coach there to make sure you're doing it as you're supposed to be doing it, to get the best impact from it.
Watching you, he doesn't just give you a program; he has to watch you.
He has to watch you doing it. Yeah,
really.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're at nothing. Like.
Really, but if you get the techniques right with him, you're better out. You can't go away and do it on your own.
Well, in the same way, your training session starts, and there's 3 or 4 is there, a manager and a couple of selectors, and there's the few fellas probably need to work on their tackle technique. So I see you two lads doing a bit of tackling. Yeah, the boys know what they're doing. You're happy enough. So in the same way in the gym, the lads are around a couple of years. They've a good gym training age, so they know what they're doing. If they've any questions, they'll ask me. So I'll go into the younger guys coming up out of mine, or the under 20s. I'm going to spend a bit more time with them to make sure that they're doing it properly. So there's the effects of doing the exercise properly, and depending on your training age, the S&C coach won't spend as much direct time with you. But at the same time, you go running or gymming on your own versus go running with the team or gymming with the team, you're going to push that bit harder because you're being watched, and that's the second probably strand to it, I would be thinking. But if you're a rural county where guys are travelling to college or whatever, you'd be looking to do at least one coach gym session a week as a group, and then you have your hour during lunch. But the gym sessions now, they should be only 45 minutes. Like,
should be.
When I started with Dublin, we were like 90 minutes in the gym. And
it was all ours was all arms and chest and all big bullshit arms. But like I remember Alan Brogan telling me that then Dublin used to get a lot into power and the clean and jerk and all these ones, and we weren't doing anything like that. We were building up our arms. We were looking stronger. But like, I mean, when you look at the Dublin team and whatever Brian Cullen does with them, the last 50 minutes of a game, Dublin look on another level to most other teams. I don't know what he does, but it's obviously, like, you know, he's got the rugby background, so maybe he learned some expertise there. I've said this on the show.
It kind of all changed from what I could see anyway around the mid to late 2000s. I think everybody was following the Armagh template. Armagh got to be absolutely huge. Now they had the jerseys that made them look absolutely huge as well. But then I think
that was a good psychological thing too. I don't think they meant it as that, but it worked well like that.
Yeah, and of course, like since then, and Dublin have probably led the way on this, it's become far more dynamic and stuff. Like, people are still strong, but they're also there's been far more of an emphasis on mobility and flexibility, and that's across the board. That's why people are activating and doing their band work before training, and Dublin have shown that that's the way to go too, because there's probably back in the day where they might have been strong and powerful, but as you said, they might have been tailing off a bit in the last 10-15 minutes because they'd neglected that side of it. But since then, I think everybody now follows the template that Dublin have set, and rightly so, that as much as about dynamism as much as it is about strength and power.
That's it. I always think that, you know, the connection with the All Blacks with the AIG sponsorship, and they've been over and there's a couple of ads, you know, or whatever, that there'd be some expertise shared there, because we know the All Blacks moved away from the big, huge, muscly kind of rugby player a long time ago for kind of more athletic, dynamic players. And I don't know, maybe was there some expertise shared there, Ger, or anything? Or
well, not directly or specifically or formally, other than you'd read some of the All Black autobiographies and there'd be reference to the culture and about the jersey and
Sweeping
everything
the
else goes
sheds.
with it.
Yeah,
Sweeping
he's
the
sweeping the
sheds,
sheds.
yeah.
There's a
Stuff
lot
like-
of
just
there's a lot of
good, yeah.
crossover stuff there, isn't there?
There's
The
a lot of
humble,
crossover, yeah.
Is that just Jim doing his research on teams and just thinking, look, that's a model that I respect. That's a model I would like to replicate.
It's you can't replicate somebody else's model unless you share similar values,
Right.
Because it becomes unauthentic, and
Yeah.
you'll talk and
That's a good
talk
point.
for a couple of weeks or a couple of months, but eventually you won't really believe in everything that you've read, even though the All Blacks are doing it. But unless you have similar shared values, which are instilled from home, club, county, work, whatever, that you're at nothing. So it has to be authentic to you.
Yeah. Okay.
But on just on the another point, in terms of if you're doing the gym say first and your pitch session second, right, and you want to do some tactical stuff on the field when you go on, because normally a pitch session for me anyway, in terms of getting the best out of guys, or helping to, what would you call it, help them retain the information that you're trying to instill or impart on them in terms of structure or how you want to be with the ball or what have you. If you do all the tactical stuff at the end of the session, lads are knackered, so their ability to retain information lessens. And to contextualise that for people listening, we've all been on the pitch where a selector runs on and says something to you, and you're like, what the fuck did he say? Like, and particularly as a centre back over the years, I was getting a lot of instructions because you were feeding them out, and I used to have to work with the guys running in saying, look, just keep it simple, like one message, keep it simple, nice and short. So in the same way, if you're coming to, maybe the Antrim footballers might get promoted now if they listen to this, but I would be you'd be doing all the tactical, the heavy concentration, mental stuff in the early stages of your time together, and you do the gym stuff at the end, because ultimately, do you want to get fellas who are good in the gym or fellas who are good in the pitch?
No, that makes sense. So are we agreeing that if they flipped it around during the league and championship, it is doable?
Yes.
And the value of giving the next day off, is a very, very strong plus. Okay, well, I'm glad we came to that, because I was kind of excited about it. But I do take your point. Obviously, the one thing, it's impossible pre-Christmas when you're building up, tolerance. And then it is possible when you're maintaining. I
flip the gym.
But
stuff
flip the
around,
gym afterwards.
Afterwards.
Okay, I like that one. So I was reading a stat here about the league, lads, and of the 77, this was on the RT website, of the 77 football and hurling league games postponed in the last 11 years due to weather, 66 have been since 2017. So a lot of them came in 2018. It was the big storm, that beast from the east. There was 46 games called off, but in 2017 there was 4. 2018 there was 46, 19 8, and this year so far 8 as well. So this is a trend that's continuing, and this is clearly an indicator that to pack your busiest part of the season with 8 games in 10 weeks, in the worst. It is the worst. It's worse than November, December, because we're looking at storms and snow and all sorts of stuff. It's madness. It really is. And that it didn't really come up in championship structure kind of debates and whatever. We're not going to get into championship structure debates. But that's the thing, everything needs to be relaxed at this time of the year. It can't be a big panic that, games are going to be called. League games the league will never run week on week again, if we're being honest.
There were so many factors to consider, that weather didn't even come into it, even though, based purely on just my, on the last few years, February seems to have been the worst month, and that's borne out by the figures. There were 46 games cancelled in 2018. I didn't even know that. And then throw into all that the GAA decided to put the under-20s competition back into that too. Have you seen some of the conditions that some of the games were played in?
Yeah, they're all being postponed too.
Been absolutely crazy. Some of the games went ahead, they were in
4 games.
He
played of a Monday, went to extra time, the least 20s. He played for your seniors on a Sunday. I think played for the least 20s maybe the following day, and then the leash 20s. The next round is this week, and he has another National League game, so he's going to play 4 games in the space of 8 or 9 days
in conditions that won't lend themselves
too
to
much
injury either.
Yeah.
No, well, we know that under-20 thing was just farcical. Well, it was farcical, absolute joke. But Colin Collins, I was reading this on the RT website as well, and he was saying terrible conditions at the weekend. I don't think they're getting any better. Surely it's beyond finances. It's not beyond finances to have a ground in every province that's enclosed. I don't know, and I was thinking, I don't know, wouldn't it be nice? But at the same time, if there's 46 games called off, that closed stadium is going to be under a fair bit of pressure in East Province.
Ballyhonus.
Ballyhonus has their Bacon. It's just outside Ballyhonus.
Do you have one?
There's a dome. gone up in the Centre of Excellence. So
Really?
it's the Connacht Centre of Excellence. It's actually only 10 minutes from me, so we play a lot of games there.
You play
not in the
indoor
dome. Not in the dome. The dome has only been built lately, but it's designed to facilitate that sort of more training than anything else, because not a lot of people are going to fit into it. But that's only gone up very recently. Yeah, full size pitch in it. Yeah.
Right, so you could play league games there.
Colin Collins needs to build, advocate the building of these all around the country. These domes all around the country.
You should have given Ballyhonus a mention now. I didn't realise this.
Yeah, well, it's more bacon than Ballyhonus. I have to be technically correct here, Ger. It's only outside. That's John Prenty territory now. It's only about 5 minutes outside Ballyhonus. But it is, I have to say that while, it is
it's a bit of parish pump politics from Prenty,
I have to say,
it?
while it is close to where John Prenty is from, it is actually the geographical centre of Connacht as well. So that's why it was.
We'll get him off the hook. All right, great stuff, lads. We'll be back with Billy Lee in part 2. Okay, so Limerick are top of Division 4 and their manager Billy Lee joins us on the line now. Top at the moment, Billy, but I suppose one loss and all that could change pretty quickly.
Absolutely, Colin. You take every game in its merits, and we're now facing all the teams that are joint second. So look, there's a lot to be played for, a lot of football to play yet, so it has to be one game at a time.
Yeah, have you ever seen a more competitive Division 4?
I suppose not from where we were coming from, because we were always looking up, so we wouldn't have been, I suppose, stretching our eyes up to what was going on at the top of the there the last number of years. We were looking at ourselves down below, but it just seems that all divisions have got really, really competitive. So I look at Division 2 there, Christ, it's unreal, but it obviously brings an added implication for the teams up there this year with the advent that if you're relegated, you go down to the Tier 2 competition. So I think people get buy into the league and the competitiveness of it, and I think people enjoy conditions might be ideal, but it is enjoyable at the same time for people. Yeah,
because kind of in my head last year, Derry and Leitrim kind of romped home with a game to spare. The year before, Laois and Carlow did it with a game to spare. Westmeath and Wexford the year before did it with a game to spare. You kind of knew the pairings early on, but now obviously you're top, and then you have, like you said, Wicklow, Sligo, Antrim and Wexford all on 4, and you wouldn't rule Carlow out on 2 points still.
No, you're right. I think Derry and Leitrim were ahead of the posse last year for sure, and it is very competitive, and we all have to play each other. There'll be a number of disappointed teams at this point in time, but it is all to play for, and but it's sort of, I suppose, look, people enjoy seeing the competitors and they anticipate what might happen into the future from within the counties that are involved and the neutrals, and it's only all positive stuff, really,
Yeah. Do you think the teams in Division 4 are closing the gap to the teams in Division 3? Because it was often the case the teams that went down from Division 3 would come back up. That's not necessarily the case now.
Yeah, it's possible, Carlow were a bit unfortunate last year, I think, in coming down. They lost a couple of games very narrowly and probably lost out and can score on difference at the end. And, obviously, Derry and Leitrim up there this year, we'll see how it goes. I think there's probably, Westmeath have gone right up to
and Laois, yeah.
Laois are gone there, so there is evidence of that. But look, you would always wonder why Laois and Westmeath were down there in the first place. And certainly Derry, because traditionally they're a bit stronger than that. So, they might have fallen down because of whatever, a change of the guard and change of resources within the county. Who knows? I'm not close to it to be able to know that, but certainly you would expect them traditionally to be at a higher level.
Yeah, I suppose if you were to take Cork out of Division 3 and 4, we're talking about probably making an argument for the Tier 2, which I know you were Tier 2 Championship, which I know you were in favour of. The teams in Division 4 would be thinking, right, an All-Ireland semi-final here is not out of the question here at all.
Yeah, I suppose the way I look at it is, at the start of the year, every team starts out in the provincial championship, which is a route to the All-Ireland series. That was the way it was 40 years ago, and the way it is now. But invariably, the stronger teams come to the fore. And if I go back to the 80s, your Kerry, Dublin, Cork, Meath, and so forth, Mayo coming, and a number of years later, it's still the same, arguably, you know what I mean? And I suppose until counties, certainly in Limerick, I can only speak for Limerick, that we get a stronger in football on the ground in Limerick to promote, ourselves better. It's only then we really get into, really competing at that end. And whether that ever happens or not, let time be the judge of that. But that's the way I see it, Colin,
Yeah. Is that being done in Limerick,
Billy,
do you think? Like, I suppose in the schools and stuff, the hurling is getting the priority?
Yeah, look, there is a lot of work going on in the background with football in Limerick, and the Park and Knockers even out with Mother Scavin on the academy, supported by the board and the county football board. I was involved in that some years ago myself. So that's in play. I think 5 years ago, the academy stopped it in full flow. There was development of teams before there, but it's got really, obviously, look, I think everyone knows what Paul brings to the table when he gets involved in something, and it's Mother supported him, their club mates, and they know what they're doing, and they've brought that, and they've been supported by the county board and backed. And but beyond that, then look, the reality is in Limerick, hurling is the preferred GAA sport, and it's been like that in my lifetime, and it'll be like that to the end of my lifetime. And I sit here and I don't have any issue with that. That's what the majority of people at club will prefer, the sport, and it's only over time that if football only clubs and the people involved in that can continue to walk the road, we might grow further, So it's ultimately comes from the work on the ground as to where counties traditionally sit on a given sport is where it sits with me,
So I suppose the academies are taking in the elite players from each club, but are they doing anything with, say, promoting football within the county? I suppose there's two strands of that underage development.
Yeah, there is. Look, I think a lot of the former players, like Stephen Levin, Ian Ryan, Pat Ranahan, Shani Buckley, they've all got involved, and they're as part of the county football board, and they have different responsibilities within that at primary level, secondary school, the academy, and all that kind of stuff. And they're down working at that, trying to promote it, and the wheels in GAA don't grind as fast as we'd all like them to be, but they're making progress. They're doing a lot of work, and I suppose the bit of success there, the senior team had with the McGrath Cup, helps that, and helps the young lads see that, look, we might get a trophy out of it here and there along the way. We're never going to be top tier one county, but it's all about trying to give the young lads some impetus to try and come and play inter-county football. I think what's forgotten in the modern game is representing your county is a huge honour. At the time from when you were playing and when I was playing today, it's gone too much, but sometimes in the midst of it, it's a massive honour, and for your club and your family, So I think that might be getting lost because of the time that's been put into it, and it can help people grow personally and help them for their own personal lives and workplace afterwards. So there's actually got out of the county much beyond actual trophies,
Yeah, no, there definitely is. You mentioned trophies and you mentioned the McGrath Cup. You said after that game it's all about winning. And, that's fantastic. I'm just wondering how you motivate players when they're not winning. In a Division 4 team, you're coming back the following year and, you might have lost a good few league games. When you're losing games in a row, how do you keep their heads up?
You have to try and find the positives within all those negatives. Certainly from my time, you had a lot of players who opted out and didn't want to come in, and then you focus on the lads who wanted to play and represent their county and their clubs and so forth. So you encourage them, and they're eager in the first place. So you kind of push an open door. Okay, we may not be world beaters, but the lads want to play, and we'd like to see the thing go as well as it can be. So you work at it, and you find it, and you bring them together as a group. I suppose in the last 2 years, the lads have come together a lot as a group because they wouldn't have really known themselves. They'd have known of each other, but they're kind of come together, and they enjoy each other's company away from the training ground, which helps, and then, they're becoming friends. So that all helps, So you have to try and find these things that you encourage them to enjoy it. And I think enjoyment is a big part of it, Colin, You've got to recognise your place in life, accept it. You mightn't like it, but you've got to accept it. When you do that, then you can make small yards bit by bit,
I think that enjoyment, obviously, maybe when you're in Division 4 is very important, because if you're cracking the whip too much, like it's the same as any team, that if there are only competitions to win are, in the championship or provincials and All Ireland, and if they're out of reach for the majority of counties, all they have left really is whether they're enjoying it or not.
But that's it. And look, there's what we've got 4 divisional trophies, and you've got 4 divisional championships, and in All Ireland, so we end up there, it's 9, and like that, there's 32, 3 counties involved. So do the sums, and you'll see that everyone's going to. So that's it. And look, enjoyment. When you see fellas walking through the door and they're enjoying life, that's important. And I'd have a big affinity with that. It shouldn't be a stressful place. Yes, it will get stressful at times and get frustrations and all that. That's of course it will. But once the most of the time is enjoyable, and people are enjoying themselves and they're amongst their friends and doing the best they can. So what more can you ask for?
Well, that's it. I saw a quote of yours. You were saying, in my view, it has gone. You're talking about the commitment has gone too far at this stage in terms of what is expected of people. I put it this way: you can ask or you and I can ask our boss for a day off, and you're likely to get it for a special event. And you're making the argument that a player might be afraid to ask for a day off from a hobby. That's how far it's gone.
Yeah, that's my honest opinion, and I'm sure if you ask many other managers over there, players, that's it. Like, and not alone that, it's not so much that they couldn't ask, but players would hold each other to account why you want a family wedding or a friend's wedding or whatever when we are meant to be training. Now, I have a very simple view on that. We expect our friends and our family to support what we are doing. But when they have their big day, we think it's out of reach that we should support them. Of course you can go to a wedding. Of course you mightn't get there for the church or the meal or whatever, but you should go and support your family and friends when they've got big days. Because if you're asking for their support, you should be able to replicate, and I'd be, open to those things when it's at given times,
That's the thing. I suppose inter-county players are accused of being selfish, and some people say they have to be selfish, and all professional athletes, which GAA players often see themselves as, need to be selfish, but that's not the way it needs to be.
Well, I suppose, look, I can't speak for up where the Dublins, the Kerrys and the Tyrones and the Mayors are, so I can only speak for what we are dealing with, and I know that if we do that, you lose people, and we don't have the volume of players to be able to lose people. So you might have principles in these things, but you have to be adaptable and common sense. I generally think a lot of it's common sense, and I'm sure the top level players have to find that extra percentage to try and get over the line at the level they're thinking of, and if we ever get to that level, Colin, we can think about it then when we get to there, But for us at the moment, it's about people coming in, playing, recognising that playing inter-county football for Limerick is an honour, and you represent your people, and it should be enjoyable. Yes, challenging, of course it is, taken out of our comfort zone, definitely, and so forth. But why not enjoy it? Why can't we enjoy it?
Yeah, some people are blaming the increased commitment levels on players dropping off squads, and I'm not sure whether that's, we've seen enough evidence of that or not, but you've lost Dara Tracy, you've lost Sean McSweeney, you've lost your own son Jamie only 2 weeks ago. It was after round 2, was it, Billy? That obviously you saw that, you knew that was coming anyways, but still that's a big disappointment to the team to lose one of their top forwards, and also to you personally, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, anytime you lose a player, Dara, Sean and Jamie would have been regulars over the last number of years. So anytime you lose a player, that is disappointing. But look, they're young lads, they want to enjoy life and see it, and there's a lot of tragedy around, and we got to put in context. Yes, as a father, you wouldn't like to see your son that far from home. But sure, look, any along the way is an experience, whether it is a negative or a positive. It's an experience, and it helps them learn and thrive. And so that's how we want of our kids and our peoples to kind of grow and be mature adults. And it's an experience, but it's not the end of the world. It is what it is. And when you have an organisation that can replace them within the county, these things go unrecognised, unnoticed, I suppose.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to get to. That's when we do lose people, that we have ready-made replacements or almost without the experience, but these fellas at the same level, obviously they'd have to gain the experience by playing this level. So it's disappointing, but it should be disappointing because your child is on the other side of the world as opposed to they're missing out in the county football.
Yeah, well that's the thing, I suppose, but it's only temporary. How long had Jamie been floating this idea, which I'm sure he didn't land it on you? How he had to soften the blow to you over a course of the first 3 years? The first 3 years, maybe, was it?
he'll end it through his mother to me, of course. You know what I mean? But it is what it is. You know, he feels it's for him. And look, it's difficult because you have to try. I've got 30 something other players to consider and treat him similarly, and you have to try and. You know, anytime conversations I would have Jamie, I would have described look, I'm talking as a father, no, what I'm talking as a manager. You'd have to just explain it so that we know the context of when we're chatting, and I think that was important so that he'd understand where I'm coming from, on what hat I'd in my head at a given time. But we knew it was coming, and look, he certainly really confirmed it in his head, I suppose, leading up to the Carlow game, and he went to Tuesday afterwards. So look. You know, sure, once he comes back safe, sure, we'll be all happy.
Yeah, that must have been difficult having the father chat and then having the manager chat. Nearly two completely separate chats with the same two people.
Yeah, well, I suppose I put it to this way: you wouldn't want to be in the car when we got into the RAC Cup final. Let me put it to that way. That was an uncomfortable conversation, to say the least. But let's put it this way: the father was kind of telling it the way it is. Do you know what I mean? But look, every father and child has that up and down the country, you know, at different given times. So, but to entertain him, the mother will be the referee at times then, so you get on with it.
Oh, listen, I've first-hand experience of it. I had uncles calling to my house asking me not to go to Australia and all because the when I was going 1 year. But sure, look, these things have to be done. Come here, I meant to ask you about the big talk quickly before I leave you, is the costs in preparing inter-county teams. That was all the news last week, and like I suppose mileage and catering are the two big ones. You know, some teams have big backroom teams. Like, you know, where do you see the biggest drain on the cost on preparing teams coming from?
I suppose. Look, I'm not sure on the details of it, Colin, but I look at it this way: players need to be looked after from mileage. No, look, I suppose the other side of it is mileage, food, gear. Players looked after, but it is a hobby. And there's many other people up and down the country who have hobbies, and it can sometimes cost some money. Now, it all has to be relevant in the sense that you can't ask for us to be spending fortunes when they're trying to build houses and have mortgages and, hold down jobs, because some fellas are trying to take time off of work. And I think that's not right, but that's what's happening with we know that. And but look, once the players are treated with respect, and the further up the chain you go, you earn the next steps that the top level players might get. You have to earn your way in life. There's no one going to walk in, hand you over your job and say, there you are, and here's all the perks with it, unless you earn your way there. So I think doing such a baseline of what each player and management team and what's appropriate is there, and then obviously whatever the funding works, I'm not close to it, but like anything else, you have to earn. You should be able to earn the rest of it, and that's my view on it.
Yeah. Okay. Listen, you've obviously Limerick this weekend. Why do you play in Rathkeale instead of the Gaelic grounds, as a matter of interest?
I suppose, firstly, it's right now where the lads want a home venue, and I think there over the number of years I've been involved, we played in Newcastle, we played in Kilmallock, Gaelic grounds, and
you prefer the smaller club grounds than the county grounds?
No, it was just at the times. Depends, I suppose, when you're opening big. I'm not sure the ins and outs of it, but when you're opening big venues, it's costing, and the level of support might neutralise the cost, and that's. I don't get involved, and I don't worry about these things in terms of that. Everything's got to be common sense approach. But from where we're going from, maybe you might have a match in Newcastle this weekend, and it could get called off because the field might be playable and it might go to none. So we got moved around. So we had a chat, and we felt that if we could get one base, let it be in McNeville Park in Rathkeale, which we use all the time for training, and it's like home to us. So if that's where we're located, I know the county board are investing in that facility in the coming months, year, to try and put a stand in there as well, and utilise it. And look, there's a lot of club games played down there, so it's something we're used to, So look, that's a lot of it, Colin, and that's really only come into vogue, I suppose, this year. When we had a chat during the break, where we get the home venue, and I think the lads are comfortable with that, and at least they know that there's a venue there, and we're not moving from one place to another, and we're all supportive of that, and we just get on with it.
Okay, fair enough, Billy. That makes sense. Come here, thanks very much for taking the call. I'll talk to you again.
Okay, Colin. Thank you.
All right, lads, a bit of analysis here to finish up. I'm not going to do predictions at the moment anyways, because there's too many games to get through. The one I was mentioning is the most interesting for me is Galway Tyrone. And I suppose we don't have too much evidence to go on with Tyrone other than that kind of battle in awful conditions against Kerry, and it's hard to tell. It was interesting. Tyrone were beaten against Monaghan and they had a forward line of Kyle Coney, Niall Sludden, Peter Hart, Darren McCurry, Mark Bradley and Ronan O'Neill. It's a very forward-looking forward line. And they lost. And out went Mark Bradley, Kyle Coney and Ronan O'Neill for the Kerry game, and in came Frank Burns, Conor Myler went into the forwards, and Daniel Kerr, who actually is a forward, the other two aren't. It's just like, obviously Cathal McShane is back, which is going to give them a focal point, but I still think, what's Tyrone's identity this year? Like, what are they? You know, they tried to move away from the counter-attacking game. They went full-blooded into the working off McShane game. That became so obvious that Donegal kind of blew that apart. They went back to the drawing board a bit after that and went back counter-attacking. And it was only towards the end of last year in the Kerry game that they seemed to get a decent balance. They had Matty Donnelly and McShane inside, and they gave in good ball, but weren't, you know, maybe they were able to do it a bit more because Kerry allowed them to do it. Just wondering, like, they seem to be kind of stuck in a kind of place where they're not sure what they are.
Like, I said this a few times about Tyrone last year. My hunch on it with Mickey Hart is that, like, any kind of any roadblock that he hits when trying to play a new game plan, that he's only happy to revert to type to the counter-attacking style that I think he prefers, and that I think he has worked for Tyrone up to a point. And I know that, like, we've talked a lot about them needing to develop more of a sophisticated game plan when it came up against the bigger teams. But after that loss to Donegal last year, which I think hurt Mickey Hart a lot, because like Tyrone were completely outplayed on the day, in a style of play that has become familiar to Tyrone over the years as well. So I thought it was kind of revert to type, and just everything I've seen this year, when you say, like, Tyrone were very poor against Monaghan, I think they only scored 11 points, lost by 4 points, but by all accounts were terrible. And then all of a sudden he changes around. Obviously he has to adapt to the conditions against Kerry, maybe go a little bit defensive considering the attacking threat that Kerry have as well. But I think personally, and I'm yet to see enough evidence to the contrary, that Mickey Hart's default is the counter-attacking game plan, that he's more than happy to play that most of the time.
That's the thing. And like, I mean, they seem to go all in on one or the other. Why can't they just have a blend of the two, like Dublin have, like the good teams have? Against Donegal last year, it was so obvious that when Donegal are doing their homework on that game, they're going to go like, right, well, every ball's going to go diagonal to McShane. Let's drop Hugh McFadden back. He's a big man. He'll be able to intercept them. And now Tyrone are scratching their heads. Like a little bit like you in 14 with Donegal. You were so obvious in what you did that Donegal could plan for you. And now Dublin are difficult to plan for, because if you want to play them at a running game, I don't think anyone can beat them at a running game. I think potentially you could beat them at a kicking game because they're out of practice. You could shock them with that. But Tyrone, I don't know, like, they don't seem to have that blend that they're equally comfortable with both.
For me, a couple of things. Some of the best games we've seen over the last couple of years have involved, for me, any Dublin v Mayo or Dublin v Kerry, where you have kind of a forward high pressing three teams and nearly trying to outkick each other and outscore each other in many ways, and Dublin have come through whatever the last couple of years. Watching Tyrone, it's a bit of a bugbear for me. I don't think they're going to win anything this year. I know a few of the Tyrone lads personally, and nice fellas and everything else off the pitch, but they all seem so preoccupied.
Nice fellas off the pitch.
Yeah, they all seem. I don't know if one or two fellas in each team, but they seem so preoccupied with holding their faces, getting fellas booked, pulling fellas down, and I don't want to name any of the guys individually, but now, unless I was watching a different game you were watching the Eden Dork on the it was a mud fest, but like, the referees are just buying whatever, for me, throwing at them, and maybe I'll get a bit of flack for this, but if they were more interested or focused on actually playing football, because they're such good footballers, talented footballers, and stop worrying about fucking trying to get your man booked or lying down holding me face when he only caught me on the shoulder. Like, they just do. And I know no more than Dublin and all the other counties, everyone has a few fellas who will do that, but it seems to be a systematic thing with them. I think if they change that and concentrate more on playing football, they'd be far more, the players will probably enjoy it more, and I think they'd be more successful. But Mickey Hart does go back to that kind of pack defence, break at pace, leave one guy up there. Like the All-Ireland final a couple of years ago, Mark Bradley 2 years ago, no, he took a year out last year, but I was in the Canal End that time, and sure, he was on his own, and there was 120 metres between him and the next.
No, well, they have moved on from that now. They did move on from that last year, to be fair to them.
Yeah.
And, like, I mean, you know, what I think messed Tyrone up is this high press. They're trying to do that. That doesn't suit a defensive team, right? So where's I'm sure we talked about this before because it annoys me. You're either a defensive counter-attacking team in such case that you don't press the kick out, because pressing the kick out is counterproductive to that system. Because pressing, and this is why this game is going to be so interesting, because every team now, because it sets off like wildfire, copycat stuff with managers, they're all pressing the kick out now. It's in vogue. So you can't be a pressing team and a defensive team. They don't marry. They don't go together. So this is where Tyrone have kind of are struggling to figure out what they're all about. And pressing up a kick out against Galway, and we know that Galway now are absolutely not hanging around the ball. The ball's going down the other field. Tyrone are going to struggle against that style. The only way Donegal or Tyrone can handle that style is if they don't press the kick out and they actually go, here, up yours, criticise us. We know what Galway are going to do, and to a point, this is why Donegal, I find, are very hard to work out in the lead up to games. Last year against Tyrone, they dropped back ahead of the ball and snuffed out Tyrone, hit them on the counter-attack. Against Kerry and Croke Park, they didn't drop any men back behind the ball. They played a footballing game and hit them in a shootout. Kerry, I'm sure, weren't expecting that. Like, you have to be able to cut your cloth, don't you? I don't see enough GAA teams doing that and going, what do we expect from these today? But you're wondering, what are they going to bring?
But that's what the better teams are able to do, Willie. They're able to evolve, and the example of Donegal and Dublin before that, they can they have a couple of systems that they practiced in the league or over a couple of seasons, and depending on the opposition, they're happy to curb the opposition's strengths, but at the same time, if the opposition go out and do something altogether different, to be able to evolve and think and communicate on the field is what the best teams are able to do. But maybe that's what Mickey Hart is trying to do. Maybe he's messing around with a couple of systems to be able to go from one to the other depending on the opposition.
He doesn't seem to have any faith. He doesn't seem to have any faith in him. And there's one thing I hate to see in Gaelic football is a press on a kick out and then it goes short to the corner back because, you know, maybe someone's not marking tight enough, and then you go, okay, we didn't win that, now we'll head back
anyway. yeah.
What's the point of that?
Yeah.
Like, in general, goalkeepers will be successful with a lot of their kick-outs. It'll go to midfield maybe or whatever. But if you're pressing and you have everybody up in position to press and a cornerback gets it, is that not the cornerback's worst nightmare for that press to continue?
Yeah.
Rather than go, oh, well, I got it now. Oh, lovely. They're all heading back. I'll stroll out with it.
The idea behind a good press should surely be to isolate that guy.
To let him have it.
Let him have it, yeah.
And then go after him.
And isolate, like often like teams are ruthless. They isolate the weakest footballer on the team. Do you know what I mean? Or like get somebody on their wrong side. Yeah. You know, give him a little. Give the keeper an inch. Target that guy. Let him kind of have it. But that when he gets it, we're on top of it.
And even if you lose two people from that press and two of them go back, the press is gone. You nearly need an extra man. You know what I mean? Up there to make that press like a nightmare for defenders coming out.
And again, it's just it is a strategy that teams start out with. It's also a strategy to have if you're chasing the game and you need to push nearly 7 fellas up, maybe 4 in the half forward line or 3 in the full forward.
Kerry did to the Dubs, remember a couple of years ago.
And it's a good system. So what your aim, your objective is to force the keeper long because you've a few extra fellas around there. But it's if you're pushing up, but see, everyone has to understand and agree with the system, and maybe this is feeding into some of your views or summations of how Tyrone are playing at the moment. Is maybe the fellas have been told to do one thing one week, but for 2 or 3 of them they're not really so sure about it, and then those little couple of cracks appear and then it doesn't look good, and then Mickey Hart goes back to what he's used to playing, and fellas are more comfortable with that. But I'm meandering, sorry.
No, but that's the thing. It's hard to know. Galway have their team picked again, and The interesting thing about their team being picked is Liam Silk is at centre back in place of John Daly, so he's wondering where is he going to play. I'd say he'll end up number 5. I think maybe Gary O'Donnell might lose out for Liam Silk but in fairness, there's a lot of consistencies to his team. His forward line is starting to pick itself, if we're being honest. Brannigan, Comer, Daly, Finnerty, Shane Walsh, Varley this week. I think Varley might lose out to Ian Burke because they're both, similar players in that they shove really well for the ball. Varley's not as good as Burke for throwing it around, but that looks like he's happy enough that he's going to midfield with his kickouts. Anyone that gets pressed on and doesn't go to midfield or kick out, I think they're silly. I think they're stupid unless you have Cluxton or one of the really, really top like Rory Beggan or whatever. That's Galway are doing everything right tactically for me. I think Joyce is proving himself to be very smart, and it'll be very interesting to see this weekend, and watch out for it, is Tyrone press and what Tyrone do after the press. When Galway go to midfield, are they in no man's land? Are they going to say, here, forget about the press, let's just own it, let's just say, look, Galway have very good forwards, they have a kicking game, tactically it's the perfect game for us not to press them and to actually drop off them. But again, because the press is in vogue, it's like, I'd love to interview. Well, it's hard to get managers now and say, why are you pressing? Why do you drop off after pressing? What? Explain to me the reasoning. You know what I mean? And wonder what their rationale for it is.
Well, I would have thought, considering the opposition and considering everything you said earlier on, that Tyrone will be inclined to just give, because Galway are likely to go along with the kickouts anyway. I mean, Pádraig Joyce has been fairly blatant about the fact, and any of the players that have kind of talked about what his philosophy has been as well, is that, like, he likes it directed, it's getting up there as soon as possible, and that includes, that's not just getting from the half back line or midfield to the full forward line, that's also from the goalie and the full back line up to midfield as well. So if you're Tyrone, if you're going to press and Galway are going to go long anyway, why would you press in the first place and then allow yourself, because I think Mickey Hart will go back to type again and try and get like a defensive block in place to stop Galway from being allowed to deliver ball into Shane Welch and Damien Comer. I think you might see Shane Welch having to come out eventually, but that's the way I'd see them setting up, especially with the weather's not meant to be great this weekend as well. Tuam Stadium surface, they're playing in Tuam this weekend, not in Pearse Stadium. I think as well, so I think it mightn't be as free flowing a surface as you'd see in Pearse Stadium as well, so turn it into a dogfight like they did in Eden Dark, and hopefully they get out on the right side.
I'm not encouraging them to do that against Galway, by the way. I'm saying, but if you are going to try and drop bodies back, don't press. Don't be silly. I think if I was Tyrone, I think I can take Galway on. Tyrone wouldn't fear Galway. Galway haven't turned into Dublin overnight. I think Tyrone can take Galway on. But when you press, keep pressing and leave a few forwards up and take them on in a game of football.
Well, if you look at the group of players that Joyce has now with Galway, Kevin Walsh had similar players. I know Joyce brings in a couple of new guys as well. But look what Pádraig Joyce is doing with pretty much the same group of fellas that Kevin Walsh did in terms of the style of play. Tyrone have excellent footballers. The fellas are being drafted over to the AFL for a good purpose, because they're decent footballers, they're athletic. Let them go play football. I think if you go out to disengage, particularly in an away fixture, when you go out to kind of disengage from the opposition kick out and just kind of sit back, I think it sets a tone in the individual player that we're protecting something,
We're afraid of them,
and we're afraid of them. Like, have a go. And I think what Joyce might do if Tyrone do sit back, I think he'll keep 4 or 5 forwards up there. They'll keep moving left and right, moving laterally, and instead of maybe the direct kick pass, which we've seen a fair bit from them, they'll run it a bit more through the hands, but it'll be probably a forward 10-yard hand pass with 1 or 2 guys off the shoulder, which is really hard to mark.
They worked against Donegal as well. They got the 2 goals from the
they can do
Sean
that,
Kelly and Heaney run off the shoulder.
But it will be, the big test for Galway will be when they hit the roadblock like Tyrone did last year against Donegal, because Tyrone last year were, after the Dublin game in Croke Park, were playing similar style of football to Galway are now. It's just Tyrone got spanked because they invested too much in that, and Donegal with Rochford were tactically smart, and they surprised them that day. So what happens, Galway, when maybe this kicking game is taken off them someday and they have to maybe, work it through the hands? Are they going to force that kick pass? That's the last thing you should do. Like, has Joyce given them, lads, I want you to go out and play with freedom, but there is going to come a time when we're going to, when that kicking game isn't on, and when that kicking game isn't on, we'll be able to spot it from the sideline, and you know what I mean, and we'll be telling you that we're going to change it, so I think that's an important thing, and maybe he'll get this lesson against Tyrone this weekend and won't have to wait till the championship like Tyrone did last year.
If you're I'm just thinking of the flow of a game of Gaelic football. Like, you will turn the opposition forward line over at least 10 times in 70 minutes of Gaelic football in your half. If they're committing numbers to the attack, the quick turnover, the quick counter is on with a kick pass.
Always regardless,
on, regardless of it. If it's a Galway kick out and Tyrone are retreating, or they're pushing up but they lose it and they retreat, the play is a bit slower. Tyrone will be well set up, and you would like to think these are senior to county fellas playing Division 1, that they will have the composure to look up and say, well, it's not on, so I'll just take a hop or so, or I might have to go left or right to move guys around. But certainly plan A from Galway so far this year that we've seen is let the ball in. Sure, the forwards they have are super.
Obviously the danger when you play defensive teams is that they all attack together and they all defend together. So when they all attack together, your forwards have been dragged out of position. Do you know what I mean? So your counter attack game through the foot is a bit messed up, and that's what that's another complication that's thrown in on it as well.
Well, that's your forward structure. Then we want to keep X amount of players up in their half the whole time, and we're happy for them maybe to have an extra guy. But if we've say for argument's sake 14 outfield players, if we keep 4 guys in the opposition, say 65 and in.
But if their men attack,
you'd be tightening up the defence so much, and depending on the pitch conditions in Tuam and the weather, you should be able to.
Should be enough in 11 players,
and
tight and compact.
Yes, and if the play is slow enough, if Tyrone's attack play in that situation is slow enough, all of a sudden the fellas from the sideline are, Conor, go back, because they've an extra fella there, and they might get us in the quick turnover. And once it happens it might happen only once out of 5 times. All of a sudden I'm like, if I'm the Tyrone guy, we're like, oh no, I better hold on, because
see, that's the thing. We were talking about this, and I was speaking to Paul Flynn when he retired about this, and Dublin won't ever allow that to happen. That's why we see so many examples of Mannion, a lot of times, Con the odd time, that when their back takes off, they go. Yeah. And they just keep it, worry about your man. Where the argument we were having on the show last year all the time is, why is Mannion not just letting him off? There'll be enough lads back there. Yeah. And then I was thinking, what tactically, Dublin obviously don't think like you. I think you can do it and be compact and have enough bodies back there. But Dublin obviously think that one off the shoulder extra man is enough to hurt them.
Depends on who the extra man is. If I'm a corner forward, if I'm Con and I'm tracking back Conor, and I see a free Dublin player there, I might pawn him off. Pawn him off, and I'll get back up. If it's the corner back who we're kind of happy with getting the ball, he might be too worried about it, and I'll take a bit of a risk and I'll hang around the 45-yard line. But you kind of need an outlet, as people will call it, if you do turn the defence over. Yeah. You need someone there. But it comes down to strategy, and we've won All Irelands by trying to keep 3-4 forwards up there, and being happy to have an extra few guys attacking against us. But the example you gave there as well with Con, and sure, Mannion had some great turnovers last year and previous year as well. Tracking back, sometimes if you have to do it, you just do it. Yeah, you just do it if you have the work rate. Right, Kildare Roscommon, lads, is the big one in Division 2, and if we're being honest, whoever loses this, one of the 2 heavy hitters is gone, lads. I know everyone's beaten everybody, but Jesus, Kildare would be their 3rd loss. You don't deserve to go up to Division 1 losing 3 times, and Roscommon would have lost twice and drawn 1, so you'd imagine they'll be gone as well. Kildare have an interesting stat, lads. Ger McNally was telling me this, is they've only won 3 of their last 14 away games. It's just desperate in the league, and 1 in the last 10. Now, I don't know how you get that out of a team, or where that's come from, because they've been fair enough, they've been in Division 1, but they've been in Division 2 and in that as well, and they've lost their last 2 in a row in Division 2 to Clare and hammered by Armagh. And it's hard to know when you see the team they had out, like a solid team, a good big team, and we know they're a big team. Feely and Mullick in midfield, you've Paul Cribben, Paddy Brophy and Keith Cribben the half forward line. Big, huge, imposing fellas. Daniel Flynn, Niall Kelly in the full forward line, and Jimmy Hyland, who hasn't taken off at senior level at all with his under 20 promise. Whatever's wrong with him, I don't know what the story with Kildare is. Ger, like 3 years ago I would have said they're a real common team and they could potentially cause Dublin problems, and for whatever reasons they're just not building on it. And going on the results and where they are in the league table, would suggest that there's a lot of maybe system changes that Jack O'Connor's bringing in, or trying to bring in, and having been exposed to Cian O'Neill for 4 or 5 years, you do get used to playing maybe a particular style of football, but maybe the fellas aren't adapting quick enough. Maybe the message hasn't been communicated well enough.
Again, it's hard to tell. The only evidence we have of Kildare is that horrible night against Armagh. So it's hard to analyse games like some people might want. But you can only talk pretty much in general terms until we actually see the teams in action. But definitely that away record is just awful. Roscommon obviously are playing without Conor Cox and Diarmuid Murtagh, who are literally, their whole game plan is built around their two inside men and everyone else defends. Maybe Craig holds the half forward line. They probably leave 3 forwards up. So their whole game plan our whole team, is built around them. So it's not too easy. Keane McKeown is a new kind of face. He's pretty young. He's scoring well in the league. I think he played a little bit last year, but he started all the games in the league, so it'd be worth keeping. A lot of
frees, yeah.
It's mostly frees he's getting. Enda Smith was in midfield the last day against Clare. They beat at home, wasn't it? They beat easily enough, but they definitely needed a. It's a big game and a lot at stake for both of these teams.
Yeah, like as you said with Conor Cox and Diarmuid Murtagh not playing for Roscommon, there's probably less reason for concern amongst Ger Cunningham, because Anthony Cunningham, because he knows that down the line they're going to be pivotal to their game plan. Whereas I kind of look back at the Kildare teams before we came on here, and I was surprised at how strong it was, because I thought, well, whether it's they're doing a big block of training or something, they're trying to peak for later in the year, thinking that they get through Division 2 handy enough. But like Kildare, mad as it sounds, like if they lose this weekend, they're in danger of going down. Because like as you said, with that away record, and just like losing
3 of their last 4 games at home, which might save them.
But I suppose losing becomes a habit, and it can be hard to arrest momentum when it's going a certain way. But just because with it's Roscommon or Kildare that are home this weekend. I think and just because of their need, I think their need to win is far greater than Roscommon's. I'd be fancying them, but not with any degree of confidence. That's the
thing. And you have Paul Cribben, you have Niall Kelly, and you have Daniel Flynn. Although Niall Kelly was there, Daniel Flynn, Paul Cribben, their 2 best forwards are back. Do you know what I mean? They're back, and you would have thought.
They're lovely footballers, but
they're very good.
Yeah.
See, I believe in Kildare. I do. I think they're the best option in Leinster outside of Dublin, and I think they have potential. But it's listen, we can't go too crazy. It's 2 league games. One was in a storm. Do you know what I mean? And one was a point loss to Clare. Maybe there is a temptation to overanalyse and do a Pat Spillane and say Clare gone.
And it is hard to overanalyse the league. The depth of analysis that we're probably displaying here, or the tone of it, is because of the importance of Division 2 now. If we were talking about this maybe 12 months ago, maybe we wouldn't be as strong on it, but if they lose, they're under serious pressure, regardless of having 3.
That's true. So they're taking these games seriously. We can trust that. They're desperately trying to win these games, which is probably even more worrying for them. So did we get predictions on both these games here, lads, to finish up? The big one obviously in Division 3 for me is Longford against Down. Longford are away to Down. That'll probably go a long way to see who maybe goes up along with Cork. So who do we fancy with Galway and Tyrone? I'm going to go with Galway home win.
Galway home win.
Galway home win. Kildare Roscommon. I'm going to go with Kildare's home record. Just like Dublin and Croke Park. What if Kildare played all their games in Newbridge? Newbridge or nowhere to win out today for Kildare. What about you, lads?
Just because they're greater need, as I said, I'm going for Kildare at home.
Yeah, and Roscommon not at full strength probably as well with the 2 lads.
And I go with Kildare too, based on that.
Okay, great stuff, lads. That's it. That's all we've time for. We'll be back on Monday. We'll review Enda Varley. He's making good Mayo man, Conor. We'll see.
More the merrier.
He's making more the merrier. He's making his debut on Monday. So we'll talk to you then. Good luck.